What's good, everybody? It's your boy Coach Ty back at you with another one, and in today's video I'm doing something I've been asked to do for years now. Do some reactions to some Instagram content. I've gone on some pretty long legendary rants in my day about goofy stuff I've seen on Instagram, so we're gonna try something new. Let's get straight into it. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to hashtag fitness tips. I tried hashtag fitness and all I got was over the shoulder booty shots. And I'm not interested in booty right now. But hashtag fitness tips seem to be the better hashtag to follow. So let's go to this gentleman here and see what he's talking about. Do this. 25 reps, 5 rounds, fat burner routine, 20 reps, 4 rounds, mountain climber, jumping squat. No disrespect to this brother. This is a personal thing with me. I don't like all that like rah-rah stuff. I'm pretty low in trait enthusiasm, if you can't tell. But all the rah-rah stuff, like while I was personal training, I would see other trainers do that, and I never liked it. But let's talk about the content of what he's saying. So I disagree with the term fat burner routine, just in general. You're gonna burn a very minimal amount of fat while working out. I talked about this in the cardio versus resistance training video. You need to be in a caloric deficit overall. Yes, your workout, you'll burn more calories, which can put you in a greater caloric deficit. However, one bag of chips in that caloric deficit will disappear. So doing resistance training, which will increase the amount of calories you're burning in a 24-hour period, long term, is the better way to go. So doing mountain climbers and cross mountain climbers and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is, for people who need to burn fat, they generally need very low impact exercises. So like a jumping squat is generally not the best option here. An overweight or obese person jumping up and down, the amount of strain you're gonna put on their joints is not good. So getting up and moving is a good thing. By the way, I'm gonna try to make arguments for all these videos as I go. Getting up and moving is generally a good thing, I would say. So if you're a relatively healthy body fat and you're trying to get even lower, this might be a good option, but for an overweight person, I wouldn't recommend this. Let's move on. Stop walking like this with hands on the rail. You burn away less calories. So what you want to do is not hold on to the rails to burn more calories. You want to roll your shoulders back, stay upright like this. Now, if you want to lose that, DM me and I've got a program for you, okay? Nah. You might be able to argue that because your hands aren't on the rails, that your arms are swinging, that you might burn a few more calories. But my point from the previous video still stands. The amount of calories that you're gonna burn is extremely small, it's negligible. So this isn't gonna make much of a difference at all. Again, you need to be doing resistance training of some sort in order to ensure body fat loss and be in a caloric deficit. You're not gonna lose significant amounts of belly fat by just taking your hands off of the treadmill. That's pretty ridiculous. All right, moving on. All right, no jumping belly fat workout. He's showing he hurt his knee doing those. Not as mad at that exercise. I don't like that one. Okay, I'm with him on the not doing high impact exercise. That's what I was just talking about a moment ago. That can lead to joint issues, especially for overweight people. but the exercises he's doing, this is basically a seated crunch. And now I would argue any movement for a totally sedentary person is a good idea. So, you know, I'll give him that point. But this crunch, you're not doing it against resistance. The reason that you do crunches laying down is because gravity is pulling you downward, so you have to flex the spine against the resistance. When you're sitting upward, you're not flexing the spine against resistance. All you're gonna end up doing with an exercise like this is training your lower back, because you have to extend the spine against resistance, which again, for a body weight exercise is gravity. It's a straight line up and down. So not the best exercise. What's this one? Okay, this one is a little bit better because he's bringing the legs upward against resistance. Again, this is one of the key things with choosing exercises is, are you moving against resistance? And are you training the function of the muscle that you're trying to train? This is supposed to be an ab workout or exercises. So bringing the legs upward and flexing the spine, you're basically performing a leg raise from a hanging position, but while seated. So this is a more regressed version of a leg raise, and it is against resistance. So not as mad at this one. And then this one, again, you're not flexing the spine against resistance. You're extending the spine against resistance. So you're not gonna train your abs with this exercise, you're gonna train your lower back, which could be beneficial. That might be a thing you wanna do, I don't know. But like I also talked about in the cardio versus resistance training video, ab exercises in general are unnecessary. Most people's body fat percentages are not low enough for them to see their abs. So if you are a male with a 20% body fat, you can do ab exercises all day. It's not gonna make a difference. You can't spot reduce belly fat. And the last 3 videos have all essentially made the argument that you can spot reduce belly fat, and you can't. Again, resistance training, caloric deficit, get lean enough to be able to see your abs. And if you're not satisfied with how they look, then maybe add some ab training in to thicken them further. But doing that when you have a higher body fat percentage, it's kind of pointless. This whole people say get abs, or I want to get abs. You already have abs. They're just underneath a layer of body fat. So you got to get rid of the body fat in order to see them. You want to reveal your abs, not get abs. Moving on. What is this young lady talking about? Okay, she's making gains. Shout out to her. Not really what I'm looking for. Moving on. This one move will change it. If you want to lose body fat, tone your snatch your weight. I can't read that fast, ma'am. 13 reps per side. Fit, busy, mum. All right, let's look at this exercise again. Okay, where do I start? This isn't bad, but how do I feel about this? So she's performing an overhead press into a squat. I just think movements like this are too complicated. If an exercise has 3 different movements within the one movement, it's too much. And she's bringing her right leg upward and performing like a bit of a side crunch. My thing with combining a bunch of exercises together is you're gonna present yourself a limiting factor. Now, if you're training at home, you might have no choice. But if you're working out in a gym, or if you have a decent setup at home with a good amount of dumbbells or a barbell, then combining exercises like, for example, the thruster exercise. You perform a squat and go into an overhead press. My issue with it is the amount of weight that you can squat is double, maybe, the amount of weight you can overhead press. So while your shoulders might get a good workout, your legs will not. The shoulders present a limiting factor for your legs. So better to just do a squat and then step over and do an overhead press than to do a thruster. Now again, there can be some reasons why you might want to do that. You're just trying to get some resistance training. You're trying to get your heart rate up. So might be useful for that purpose, but if we're trying to maximize muscle growth, and maximizing muscle growth will also maximize body fat loss. Again, check my cardio versus resistance training video. Then it would be better to do each of those exercises individually, load those muscles as best we can individually, and then move on. So, shout out to Fit Busy Mom. How can I lose my love handles? 100 jumps, 50 jumping jacks, 30 pop squats, 20 crunch combos. Repeat 4 times. Follow for more routines. This brother's in Houston. That's my state. I'm from Port Arthur. Went to college in Houston, so shout out to Vincent. I respectfully disagree. Losing love handles is, once again, a matter of your body fat percentage. You have to get your body fat percentage low enough for the fat in that area to leave. The unfortunate truth is, for most people, that's the last place the body fat is gonna come off. So you just have to lose body fat. Doing side crunches, oblique exercises, jumping jacks, again, that might increase your caloric expenditure or burn, which can be helpful, but again, one small bag of chips will render that null and void. So better thing, resistance training, stay in a caloric deficit, progressive overload, things like that, the lifting basics. These specific exercises are not going to get rid of love handles. A lot of people see this guy looks great, he's super lean, got the 6-pack going on, and they assume that what this person is saying will automatically, and this is the overall point I want to make about Instagram and its influencers as well. Just because a person looks good does not mean they know exactly what they're talking about. It's like, would you take advice from any and every rich person on money? Some people are rich despite themselves. Their daddy was rich. They passed it on. Some people are fit in spite of themselves. They work out consistently, which is a good thing. They eat well consistently, which is a good thing. But taking what worked for you and applying that to other people is a recipe for disaster. This is why I always like to use the research. The research is meant to apply to the widest amount of people, and then we have specific studies or bodies of literature that speak to specific populations: older people, younger people, male, female, overweight, obese, new lifters, advanced lifters, so on and so forth. So anyway, I'm ranting. Let me stop. I made my point about this video. Let's move on. The cardio that actually burns 10 kilos of fat. 20-minute walk, 15 incline, speed 3.2. Congrats on your body fat loss, bro. That's awesome. He's got his before and after here. Went from 159 kgs to 75. That's fantastic. Once again, I don't even think I need to go too deeply into this one because all the stuff I've said for the last few videos is applicable here. Also, this would be like me saying deadlifting 315 pounds, 3 sets, 5 reps, 3 times a week is the way to get you strong. I can't possibly know who you are as an individual. 315 pounds may be way too heavy for you. It might be too light for you. I have no idea. And same thing here, a 20-minute walk at a 15 incline, speed 3.2. For a person who's morbidly obese, this is way too much. And they probably can't do this. And a person who is maybe kind of overweight, a little overweight, this might not be enough. We don't know. So again, what I just said, applying the thing that worked for you to a bunch of people is a recipe for disaster. There has to be, yes, you can generalize, but there has to be some specificity in place. You can't just do this. All right, moving on. Last one, we'll do one more. What? Fit tummy challenge, 10-day challenge. What? I skip. Move your body, don't just use body. Give it everything it needs to help you sustain a healthy life. Put 25 minutes on the clock. Push through this. See these exercises. Prop squat. Those things. I don't even know what to call these. Speed walkouts. Oh, I see the names now. Switch kick. Touchdown. I can't see the name. Alternating squat steps. Okay. For body fat loss, HIIT training has been compared to steady state, low intensity or low impact steady state cardio. The steady state cardio always wins. I don't exactly understand why. I haven't looked into the potential mechanisms of that, but the low intensity steady state cardio wins over HIIT training. So if you're trying to decide what kind of cardio to do, low intensity, steady state. Now she is doing body weight resistance training here, which I think is good. But some of the exercise selection, I personally wouldn't use. The switch kicks, I don't really see much point in doing that. The stepping squat thing that she was doing, maybe you're basically doing a bunch of partial squats over and over. Maybe, but I probably wouldn't use that either. The longer the range of motion, the better, but maybe. Those walkouts, the touchdowns. Again, my problem with this workout in particular is for a beginner working out at home, these exercises are probably too difficult, one. Two, this woman most certainly lifts heavy weights if you just look at the size of her legs. And this is another issue that I have with Instagram influencers. They will be jacked out of their mind and they will give you a routine for you to do that is not what they did to get jacked out of their mind. And people who don't know anything about fitness, they look at that and go, oh, this person was doing this to look like that. And then after 2 weeks of doing whatever the workout was, they don't look like that person and then they quit because they get discouraged. More Instagram influencers need to start being honest about like how I got here. It's like if you're old enough, let me cut this off. If you're old enough, you'll probably have seen like these fitness infomercials where they're selling these goofy fitness contraptions for you to use at home. And they use these models that are just jacked out of their mind. And again, the person at home is looking at that and they go, oh, this jacked person used this thing to look like that. Let me buy one. And no, the model had probably been lifting weights for 10, 15, even 20 years, maybe even did some steroids. There needs to be an added layer of honesty between Instagram influencer and person at home. The person at home in general knows so little about fitness that they don't even know what the proper questions to ask are. And they can't spot bullshit. They can't. They don't know enough to spot bullshit. And that's why I'm here, to help you spot bullshit. That's it for today's video, folks. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope that was helpful. Hopefully, God, I can't talk. You learned something. Let me know what you want to see from me next. I am Coach Ty with Muscle Wiki, and I will see you with the next one. Deuces.